Hi guys, it's Stella again, and this is my week 4 video. So for the first question, athletes, exercises, and patients often respond differently to pressure or challenge. How can coaches or specialists help regulate arousal levels or optimal performance in clients or individuals? So I said doing some deep breathing techniques before a workout can be helpful to regulate these. And also just talking it out with how you feel with your rehab specialist or your coach, somebody like that. That can be really helpful as well. We often realize new things and ideas once we put it into words, how we feel. So I think that's that would be helpful to regulate those arousal levels. For the next one, how can coaches and professionals help athletes and clients become more aware of their personal performance patterns and arousal preferences? I said I would tell clients to really try to be aware of how their body reacts in certain situations. And mindfulness is a really good key to learn for doing this, as well as meditation. It can help you get to know your body and how your body feels, how it reacts to different things. And if you journal and look back at those times when you felt fine versus overly stressed out and aroused, you can try and figure out what those certain triggers are. So keeping track of that, I think, would be helpful to become more aware of your performance patterns. Describe how your own expectations have shaped your effort, emotions, or performance in sport, exercise, or rehab. In my personal experience, let's say when I went to physical therapy for my shoulder, when I had really high expectations for myself and I didn't meet those, this would get me really down and unmotivated. And then on the other hand, if I had really low expectations for myself, I would lose interest in the sport. So I found that a happy medium is best when it comes to this. Not expecting too much of yourself, accepting what you can do, and also still pushing yourself a little bit. That is kind of what I found in terms for my best performance. What strategies do you believe are most effective for building self-confidence in athletes, exercisers, or those in rehab? I think pointing out progress that clients have made, even if it's just one small step, that can do a lot for someone in that area, especially if they're low on self-confidence. They're probably not thinking that anything they're doing is making much of a difference. So just pointing out even just one thing, if it's small, that can be pretty big to someone like that. Making sure to mention all of the things that they do well and not letting it go unnoticed as a coach or as a rehab specialist. That can be really big for building self-confidence in people. And then how can psychological factors such as confidence, motivation, anxiety, or enjoyment influence a person's willingness to participate in sport, exercise, or physical activity? When I was younger, I suffered from extreme anxiety and panic disorder, and this affected me a lot in terms of taking my gymnastics class. And it made me want to stay home a lot of the time, and I was worried that I would do something wrong or I would embarrass myself or not be as experienced as the other girls taking the class, and it made it really hard for me to want to attend. But on the other hand, as I got older and grew more confidence, I found myself wanting to actually go to my dance classes, and this gave me that motivation and enjoyment for the sport itself. So it's two different sides of the spectrum. And lastly, describe a situation where an athlete, exerciser, student, or rehabilitation patient was struggling psychologically. What sport or exercise principles would you use to help them? If someone was struggling in physical therapy and they just weren't able to complete their exercises like how the physical therapist wanted them to, I think I would work on building their self-confidence and making sure they know that they are still doing the best they can. And I want them to be aware of their own performance and how they are doing so far. So I would kind of go over like a fitness plan and a rehabilitation plan, and figure out where they are so far in that timeline, figure out the progress that they've made, how much further they have to go, and realistic expectations as well. Talking about those with somebody, I think, can help somebody who's struggling psychologically in that kind of situation. So that is all I've got for today. Thank you guys.